Good morning, everyone. I, Suresh DB, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechatronics, Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering, Bangalore. I welcome you all for the second day first session of 2-week ACT sponsored online faculty development program on fostering ethics, moral values, and character building in technical education, organized by Department of Mechatronics from December 10th 2022, 23rd December 2020. Okay, today we have an eminent personality, Dr. Sheshidhar K. Kulagodi, sir, as the session speaker, and I am honored to introduce and welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Sheshidhar G. Kulagodi is an associate professor in Department of CSC, NITK, Surathkal. Okay. Sir has his bachelor's engineering degree in CSC from Karnataka University from Dharwad in 1995 and master's degree in CSIT from Bengal Engineering and Science University, West Bengal in 2005. And in 2011, he was awarded doctoral degree from IIT Kanpur. Okay. Sir was published two books in Springer series. One is emotion recognition using speech features. Other one is robust emotion recognition using spectral and productic features. He was published 5 book chapters in many Springer series. Also, he has published papers in 100 conferences. Sir was published 35 journal papers in prestigious journals publications. Okay, he was awarded Best Paper Award in ADCONS 13 and he stood second to the university during his ME and obtained MHRD India Fellowship during his PhD. Okay, Sir was his areas of interest are speech and audio processing, image processing, and machine learning and intelligence. He was 4 prestigious projects and has guided 3 students for doctoral degree, and he is currently guiding 9 students. He was joined NITK Surathkal on 15th February 2013 and has 22 years of experience. 3 patents are filed and revision submitted. Okay. With this brief introduction, okay, I would welcome you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Over to you, sir.
So, shall we start? What I have to do? Share screen.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Share the screen, sir.
Screen sharing. Are you able to see?
Yes, sir. It's visible now.
Yes, sir.
You can start, sir. Okay.
Now?
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Okay. So, good morning to all of you participants. Please mute all your microphones. There are some disturbances. And in between, if you want to ask any questions, you can unmute your microphone and you can ask questions in case organizers have provided that facility. Otherwise, you can send your question through chat box. One of the organizers can please ask that question that moment itself, so that it is easy. Contextually, we can discuss the things.
Okay, sir.
This is a phase 2 workshop on research ethics, fostering morality, research ethics, moral values in technical education. So mainly ethics and morality in research has been taken by me as the topic. In the first phase, already I have explained something. I do not think there are any overlapping candidates. How I had divided the whole presentation during first phase was, initially I introduced something on what are the research aspects, and what do we do while doing research, how do we decide the problem, and where do we search for the problem, and when the problem is searched, how do we what specifically identify, come down and narrow down and specifically identify the problem. These things were discussed. My intention was to discuss them briefly and go to ethics part further, but somehow that explanation went long and we could not reach the ethics part actually. But today I want to be little short. Still, we will explain what are the research, and what are the basic steps we need to take, how to search for a problem, and all those kind of things. And then we will go for ethics part. Many of us are doing research, whether it is required or not. Nowadays, it has become like a mandatory requirement to be in academics. Every person who wants to seek his or her career in academics is expected to have a doctorate degree, do research, do publications, get projects, funded projects from different agencies. So no one will ask you how best you teach, but all these are the things which will decide your performance at the end of the day. So whether it is our passion or not, we are supposed to do research. And anything and everything, once you do systematically, it will have nice outcome, good expected outcome, and you will enjoy the process. That is obvious. Sometimes if we do not follow the process properly, we have a fear of failing. We have no confidence in doing the things, because many times the process gives us confidence in what we are doing. Say for example, a student is consistently performing well and doing 90% and above in all 10th, 12th, BTech first sem, second sem, third, up to sixth sem. Then if you ask what would be his performance in the eighth sem, obviously we tell that he will be above 90, because his background, his history will tell us. And such a consistent performance will not be a matter of chance. Just like that, it will not come. So once or twice, fine. If luck is with us, even if you do not go, even if you go to the examination hall without much preparation, then one or two chapters you have prepared and questions have come from one or two chapters, and you have got passed. But always luck will not favor. Luck favors those who work hard. Luck will always be with them. So that way, if the process is good, then product will obviously be better, on the lines of expectation. So research also has got process, how to do it. It is research methodology, which we call as. Maybe initially, once we start doing research in our first years or during our coursework, there will be one mandatory course which says that what is research ethics. So something once ethically done, it gives a special kind of happiness after achieving the output, whether the output is small or very big. And in case of this research, the important things are, before we start doing research, we need to understand what is it. when to start, and why is it so important, and how to do it correctly, and where to begin with. All these things, not very crisply, at least logically or something like that. Hello, connection illa madam. Good morning. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir. You're audible, sir.
Okay, 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 fine. So we need to, at least logically, we need to have these questions in our mind and decide some fairly acceptable answer to all these things. Then only a research can be memorable, cherishable journey. If you do not know answer to these questions, then probably research will be like hitting a target which is in a dark, which you do not know where it is, you do not know, but trying to hit it. So research, we need not go very detailedly on these slides. It's a creative systematic work undertaken to increase a stock of knowledge. Normally research is one thing which adds to existing knowledge bank. Knowledge, it's not data. Data normally we define as raw facts. What you see directly in the nature is data. What you see directly in a system is data. Say for example, there is a table which contains list of all students of NITK and all their subject codes, what are their scores, what is the average, what is the grade they have got. This big Excel table is in front of you. It's a data. It is directly available, or which you can see, which you can observe in the nature or in the system, is data. So once you process this data a little bit, you have information. Say for example, NITK students have got JEE score less than 2000. It's an information. You have seen the data, you have analyzed their JEE score, and you came to a conclusion that any NITK student, if you take, his JEE score will be less than 2000. So that information you will have from the data, existing data. So little processing of this data will give you something called as information. Then you need to have a knowledge. What is that knowledge? While you sit for JEE exam, if you do not study well, your score will not be, your rank will not be less than 2000. You will not get an institution like NITK. This is a knowledge. It can be spread, it can be given to anyone in coaching centers or wherever it is. So finally, what aim of a research is, it would add to something to existing knowledge base. You have freely available data, you process the data, you have information. This information is interpreted in a systematic way to have a knowledge. Aim of any and every research should be to add to this knowledge bank. If you are not adding, probably your research is not perfect. Whatever that area may be networks, area may be graphics, area may be image processing, whatever it is. But some knowledge is already existing. Your research should be able to add something new to that existing knowledge. Then what are you expected to do is, you are expected to discover something which is not there. You are expected to interpret something new which is not there. That is knowledge. Research is not just downloading something from internet, putting it in a different way and publishing certain papers and getting a degree. You yourself should be convinced that I have added something new to existing knowledge base of this area. That is must. And there are several definitions, not definitions, understandings given for research. Knowing more and more about less and less is research. Somebody said, it is not there on this slide. Knowing more and more about less and less means you have to go to such a depth of a subject. You have to take a small particle, you should know everything about it, or you should know majority of the things about it. That is one more attribute of research. Once you are doing something, once you narrow down and choose a specific area, you should know almost all details about that area chosen, or aspect chosen, or entity chosen for your research. Research is a careful and detailed study into a specific problem, concern, or issue using scientific method. You have some tools, you have some approaches, use those approaches and study systematically about a specific thing, specific problem. These are all different research attributes. And when you want to start doing research, you should have some problem in your mind. It is not, and of course, research is not for PhD degree. The research which I am talking about is not for PhD degree. PhD degree is a byproduct of research what you do. PhD degree is a byproduct of an activity while you show interest towards certain issue and solve it. That way it has to be taken. But now the scenario is totally different. You want to do PhD and you have decided that where I have to do PhD, then you start searching problem. It's not a perfect way of doing it. Before you want to start research, you should have a problem in your mind. And you know problem, and what are the issues in this problem? What are the issues in this problem? Say for example, sanitation, rural sanitation in India. Rural sanitation in India is a problem. And what are the issues? Infrastructure is not sufficient. This is one issue. Mindset of people in villages, another issue. Convenience of using sanitary applications, one more issue. So problem you have in your mind, and you have to identify what are the different issues in this problem. And these issues will be objectives in your research journey. The issues which you identify while you try to solve a particular problem, those will be objectives. Normally what do? We choose some objectives and we solve those objectives and we get our degree. Or we say that my objectives are fulfilled. I found a solution to my objectives. There are several issues. Say for example, 10 issues. Solving all these 10 issues is not practical and feasible as a scope of this research, because through this research I want to get my degree. The time given is 3 or 4 years or 7 or 8 years. In 3 or 4 years, 7 or 8 years, I cannot solve all the issues of the problem which I have chosen. So what I will do, I will choose only some 3-4 issues. And these 3-4 issues should be, these 3-4 issues should be connected, non-overlappable issues of the problem I have chosen. They should be connected to one to another, means there should be an impact of one's solution onto the other. They should be connected, or it is sub problem of a same main problem. Means we are not supposed to choose issues like the rain pattern in coastal region and the crop pattern in North Karnataka region. This is not related, though they are independent, though they are non-overlapping, but they are not related. So whenever you choose a topic for your research, it should contain issues which are related in nature. Those related issues, 4-5 issues, 3-4 issues, can be converted into objectives. Then you go into the depth how these objectives are already addressed in the literature. People might have addressed these issues. What are the works you see? So once you see all related literature of a particular objective, then you come to know what people have done, what people have not done, where are the drawbacks of what people have done, and how can you improve them. That is called as a research gap. You search all the literature, you start reading them, you have some issue in your mind, you collect all the articles which have solved, which claim that we have provided solutions to this issue. Study all of them. Once you study all of them, you will have a general idea that up to what extent this issue has been solved. Is there any scope for further improving the results or not? That scope itself is a research gap. Then you start working from that point onwards to fill that gap, to solve the solution, so that that gap will be reduced, the gap will be less. That way we continue working, and finally, once we have a solution, that solution will improve the existing solution, or it would have added certain knowledge to already existing knowledge or solution in that field. This is a general overall methodology. The same thing is given in this slide. The last point is start working on drawbacks. Drawbacks means that's a research gap. So why is the research important? Whenever you do certain research and add something to existing knowledge base, the task what people are doing presently using those solutions should be more easier, should be more convenient, should be more comfortable. Then your research, aim of your research is fulfilled. Fine. You have done research. So after doing research, you have found out something new which is not existing. This should make the life of people, or the stakeholders, life of stakeholders, more easier, more comfortable, more convenient. Then only your research has got meaning. Otherwise, no. So the last point, you see, improve the quality of life for people living with illness. It is this whole slide talks about medical research. So once something is found out in medical research, it should improve quality of life who are living with that illness. Say for example, some cancer research happens. The outcome of this cancer research should make life of cancer patients easier. Whether your research is doing that, you need to think. Whenever you do research, you need to see the significance of the contribution that you have done. Significance of the contribution that you have done. What all the research outcomes can be. It can be a tool for building a knowledge and facilitating learning. Research outcome that you get should be a tool to build a knowledge, and it should motivate others to learn new things. Means your research outcome should motivate somebody else to involve more in learning. Learning is nothing but another kind of research. The outcome should be a means to understand various issues and increase public awareness. Recently, I heard a doctor saying in wheat and similar products, there is a protein called as gluten, which will have a direct impact on functioning of pancreas of your body, which leads to diabetes. So reduce consumption of wheat and related cereals. This is an awareness you are creating in human beings. So it should create a public awareness. An aid to business success. It should be a support to a business success. You might have heard market basket problem in data mining. This market basket problem will help supermarket owners to arrange items in their supermarket stall in a systematic way. What to keep next to what other item will be decided based on market basket problem analysis, which will aid for a business success. A way to prove lies and support truths. Lie detecting machines, you might have heard. Lie detecting machines are some research outcomes. If somebody is lying based on his gesture, posture, the way he behaves, the way he talks, whether he stammers, whether he is sweating, considering all these things, a machine can tell that the person, whatever he is talking, is lie or truth. It could be a means to find, gauge, and seize opportunities. Your research should be eye opener for new openings, new opportunities, and measuring those opportunities. It might be a seed to love reading, writing, analyzing, and sharing valuable information. Your research outcome should motivate people to read, write, analyze, and share this information amongst others. Many times, once we do research, what we do is hiding from others and doing something is research. Many times, 90% of the people, 90% of the cases I have seen, we are working in the same university, we are working under same guide, many times we are working in the same lab, sitting in the same lab, but people do not know what the other person is doing. People do not know what are the publications of other person. We do not want ourselves to introduce our children to world. Research outcome, a paper, is like your own child if you have published it. If you don't want to introduce it to the rest of the world, then what is your opinion about your child? You're not happy with him or her. You're not happy with his performance. You're not happy with his or her quality. So you need to have a confidence about what you have done. You need to have passion to introduce it to rest of the world. You need to feel happy if people use that research and continue doing something further. So sharing is important. Your research outcome should motivate others to share, and it could be nourishment and exercise for your mind. That is a research. So how to do it correctly? Choose your research topic, narrow it down, and find your niche. This is very important, and this is lacking in almost all researchers of today. What they know in the area that they have chosen is very superficial information or knowledge which everyone knows. I do not know whether you're understanding what I'm telling. Whenever you choose a topic, if a normal person sees it, looks at it, he will have certain idea, he will have certain understanding of the area, he will have certain feelings about the area. The same feeling, same knowledge, same understanding the research fellows who are working in that area also have. Means you are not adding anything to your own knowledge base. Forget about adding global knowledge base, adding something to global knowledge base. You have some idea, you're not able to add something to that knowledge base itself. That is a basic problem which I am seeing in many people. Sometimes whatever I know about the research area, that information is also not known by the people who have worked in 6 years, 7 years on that topic. I see this once I go for defense exams. Very basic questions. If I ask, a person who has worked in that area for 6, 7 years will not be able to answer. Means we are at the very superficial level. If you are at the superficial level, you cannot find solution, you cannot find problems, you cannot find issues in that. Normally, at the superficial level, you will see the problem as others are seeing. And you will see the problem which many people have solved, because everyone see those problems. Because they are at the superficial level, they are at the top surface. These problems everyone sees, everyone have solved, they got some answer, you also want to solve them, you also want to add something to that. Not at all useful. What is an expectation from a research scholar is he has to go into the depth of the subject. He should be able to see the problem as a new one, which is not normally seen by others who are seeing only at the superficial level, at the top level. Are you getting what I'm trying to tell? You can experience it once somebody is speaking. If you keep hearing his speech for 5 minutes, you'll understand, yeah, he has got something. Otherwise, many times you feel that whatever he is talking everything which is known to me, only in other way he is talking. He's talking the same thing which I also know, but using different words, different language. Do we not feel this many times? So sometimes one special people, expert is speaking. Every 2 minutes, 3 minutes, there will be one punchline, which is not known to you, but you will be convinced very much by that punchline related to that area. Say, for example, if you hear to the speeches of Santosh Hegde, our Lokayukta, ex-Lokayukta. On YouTube, you get many of his speeches. If you hear every 1 minute, every 2 minutes, you will get one sentence which you are convinced, but you had not got idea before. Hear to the speeches of APJ Abdul Kalam, who speaks about very basic things, very normal things. But every 1 minute, 2 minutes, one punchline, new thing you get. So these, and once you get them, you say that, oh yeah, this is also correct, that's also correct. You feel like that. But those kind of insight of the subject you get only when you can enter into the depth of the subject, not being at the superficial level. And entering into the depth is also your capability. 99.99% of the people are at the superficial level, top level. Very few people can go to the depth of level 1. And again, 0.01% of these people will go to a depth of level 2. Again, very few people, 1 or 2 people will go to level 3, depth of level 3, higher level depths. 99.99 people are swimming or floating in the top layer, and they are searching for the problems there. Are there any chances of getting new problems? No. They get already solved problems. They take up certain problem, start working on that. After some days, they find some articles which have solved that problem. Because 99.99% of the people are trying to solve the same problems which are floating in the surface level. The people who go one level depth, again, there is also good strength. They have some more new problems. Similarly, you think the people who go to depth of level 3, there are no people, but only problems. You can find several problems there. Choose some of them, solve them. Their solution also is easier because there are no competitors for you. I think all of you should imagine this and understand. Don't think that it is a kind of Astha TV deliberations. Astha TV is also like that. The Adhyatmic Pravachan, which was being given by ascetic people, you should have a feel for that. Then only you can understand that. Simply, if you are hearing the words, it's at the superficial level, no benefit. So, if you are able to go to higher level depths, there will be more problems, more issues, more objectives. You can choose them and solve them. And one more attribute of important researcher is not capable of finding solutions, but who is capable of finding problems. You are a true researcher if you are capable of finding more problems. Maybe it is difficult to digest, difficult to understand, but it is true. Once you complete your PhD, you should be able to give 10 PhD problems. Then it is understood that you can go to that level, or you have gone to that level and you know the problems at that level. Then only you can make your students to go to still deeper levels. If you yourself are at the superficial level, you cannot make your students to go to the deeper levels. Fine. So if you are able to go to deeper levels, normally your supervisor or your guide will be at the superficial level, level 0. His role is just to make you enter into this research arena. He will make you to fall in this level 0 and start swimming. He will show you 1 or 2 problems like this. Fine. If you are capable, you will go to next level. You will go to next level, search new problems, present them in front of your guide, get the approval, solve them. But understand, your guide has not gone to a level where you have gone in the particular area taken. It has got some general idea about what works, what doesn't work, which is good, which is bad, these kind of things. But specifically, authoritatively, only you can talk. This should happen at the end of your research. At the end of your research, there should be a conflict of interest between you and your supervisor. A situation should be reached where you know more than your guide or anybody else in this on this earth in your area that you have chosen. That should happen. But once you narrow down and find your area, if you do not get into the depths, it is not possible to attain this. So after you identify the research problems properly, find them, objectives, solve them, and write your research proposal or publish your research outcomes. And how to begin research with? Nowadays it's very easy. Very means very easy. If you type that word in Google, you get lakhs of links. How many of them are useful, that is different, but lakhs of links you get. Even if you read one sentence from each link, one sentence from each link, you will be able to write a document of 1 lakh sentences. Your PhD is complete. Fine. First available resource is internet. But if you think just before 1995, when internet was not there, you cannot imagine. Only some seniors can understand that. When I was not doing my research during that time, to communicate one paper. Now, can anybody answer what is the time to publish one paper in a good journal, good IEEE transaction or essay indexed journal? Can anybody tell? From the day of submission to the day of acceptance, if it is accepted, what is the time duration? Some of you can respond to my questions. Some of you unmute your mic and tell. Yeah.
1 year, sir.
Okay, it depends on journal to journal. It depends on journal to journal. But if you get some 2-3 revisions, and if it's a good journal, good reputed essay index journal, it needs 2 years. It needs 2 years. Normally, a good technical article you can open and see. The first submitted and accepted dates are given there. On an average, 1.5 years to 2 years. Now, where total postage delay is removed now. You prepare article, send it as an attachment to email. In 1 or 2 seconds, it will reach the destination. Think of a time before 1995. An article used to take at least some 15 days, 20 days, 1 month to reach destination. 1 month from you to journal, from the journal to reviewer another month. Reviewer does that operation, from that reviewer to journal back 1 more month, from the journal back to you 1 more month. For one revision, 4 months are spent only on transportation, I mean postage delays. Even more than that, because people will not immediately post them. That kind of problem is not there. And searching, type certain keywords, you get every article on your monitor. But during that time, they have to go to library. All libraries do not have all subscriptions to all journals. Whatever journals they have, their knowledge is limited to only those journals. Physically search, go through them, make a note of that article that it is related to my area, go to Xerox center, take a Xerox, then start working on that. If you do not have membership of those articles, go to nearby government colleges, go to nearby NITs, go to nearby IITs, go to ISC, assuming that ISC will have subscription to all journals, which was again impossible. Now on digital domain you can have, but on physical domain it was not possible. And writing article, now you can, if you find some sentence good, you will cut and paste it. But that time it was in a Xerox medium. Read it, understand it, write it on the paper, then type it using typewriting machines. Computers also people used to use, but very less. My BTech thesis was typewritten. We used to stand in a big queue in front of, there was one data entry center, typewriting machine. Final year, everyone used to stand in a queue in front of his stall. And day and night he used to work for 1 week or 15 days. His entire year's earning is during that 1 week or 15 days. He used to type every research project. So paper publication is at least, it used to take 3 times a time what you are spending now, what you are taking now. Today, if it is 2 years, at that time, one good paper to accept 6 years. Fine, that's a difficulty of those times. But think of the people who did research around 2000 years before, 3000 years before, on this land, Indian holy land. No internet, no journals, no research work, no transportation, no communication. People had written beautiful books like Arthashastra. Who wrote Arthashastra? Respond fast. Who wrote Arthashastra? Anyone? Well, participants can unmute and answer. Suresh sir or anyone?
No, sir. No, sir.
No, they're not.
They can send in the comments.
No, why not? They can answer. No, because they're all matured participants.
They cannot unmute, sir, because they are weaving.
No, correct. But from organizer side, if you give them option to unmute and answer, I think that would be good.
Yes, sir.
Because now I have to rely only on your answer.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay, if you can do that, please do it so that there will be better interaction.
Here it is not possible, sir. In
Not
this
possible.
streaming, it is not possible.
Okay. Fine. So, who wrote Arthashastra now? Others no, from organizer side. You see that serial also, no? That serial and everything you might have seen. Arthashastra. Chanakya or Kautilya wrote Arthashastra. Fine. Who wrote Yoga Shastra? You can tell any answer, even if it is wrong, don't worry. It is not from engineering syllabus. Patanjali. Patanjali wrote Yoga Shastra. Who wrote Natya Shastra? Bharata Muni. Bharata Muni wrote Natya Shastra. Who wrote Charaka Samhita, Sushruta Samhita? Charaka and Sushruta wrote that. These are all written 2000 years before. Just 200 years before, there were no vehicles for communication, transportation. There was no phone. Even post was not there around 200 years before in India. Maybe it is in infancy, even if it is there. Think of 2000 years before, no any incoming input to them. But they wrote masterpieces which explains everything about Bharatanatyam. Bharatanatyam, every mudra, every style of dancing, complete. Nataraja was the statue of Nataraja, who has got 16 hands or 8 hands, 16 hands it seems, was based on Bharata Muni's Natya Shastra. The minute details of doing operation, Charaka Samhita, Sushruta Samhita, whole yoga, if you do what kind of asana, to which the benefit will be to which organ of your body, that studies, that research they have, that is research. But they're not called as Dr. Patanjali, Dr. Bharatamuni. They're not called like that. But you see the immense usefulness that they have got to the humankind. Think of that research. So here in this slide, what you have to take away is internet resources are not useful resources for research. That's what, because they're very superficial. One thing is superficial, which everyone knows, they write only about that. And Wikipedia and all these kind of things you can use just for knowing some understanding about that subject, but that cannot be used as a part of your research. It is because that is not reviewed work. Reviewed means peer reviewed journal. Reviewed means I do certain work in some area, I find certain results, and those results are approved by experts in that area. Those experts are called as reviewers. But what you have on Wikipedia is not reviewed by anyone. Experts have not approved it. So that cannot be a valuable information to your research. It may be wrong also. And you need to take good publications. Good publications means at least SCI indexed onwards. Either you use conference or you use work journal papers. They should be SCI, Science Citation Index, indexed onwards, not lesser than that. For reading one article, at least 2 to 3 months we need, unknown person needs. So review process needs at least 3 months to 6 months, if actually it is reviewed. But I have seen some journals, if you send article morning, probably in the evening you get review. You get review. But you have to pay certain money for publishing those journals, those articles, which they call as publishing fees. Those kind of journal publications will reduce your academic research credibility. Don't publish in those kind of journals. So you should be very clear while you choose resource of the knowledge that you want to expand, use further. Just 1 minute, I'll come. So that is a way of choosing a source of information for your work. How to select a topic? So you have chosen a broad area. You need to identify what are the issues. Do brainstorming. Take some 10 people, good researchers and good friends who wish to or who want to spend some valuable time for you. Normally people have everything in today's world except time. They have money, they have words, they have advices, but they don't have time to spend for you. Choose 10 good people who can spend time for you. And do brainstorming. Brainstorming means take one topic and discuss. Nice ideas will come. Jot down all those ideas, write down all those ideas. Then frame objectives out of those ideas. And read general background information, especially review papers. In your area, if review papers are published, you are lucky enough. If they are not published also, you are lucky because you have an opportunity to publish review papers. Review papers are very important to get good number of citations. Out of some 1600 citations of mine, 300 and odd came from only review paper. So if you have a review paper in your area, the advantage to you is you can have an idea of everything what is being done in your area. You can read that, you can understand that, which would be very easy for you to proceed further with your research. If review paper is not there, one more advantage is you have an opportunity to write your own review paper and publish it, so that you will have very good citations. So go to review papers. If review papers are not there, then see, are there any online competitions conducted on your area? If online competitions are conducted, then they had chosen certain area. Those areas are very important. Those areas are the areas of relevance. You choose those areas and continue working. And that's the way you need to choose a topic. Then focus on your topic. Next thing, this is very important, especially in the beginning. Especially in the beginning, any article you read, you feel that it is useful to me. Any article you read or any sentence you read, you see that it's a beautiful sentence. I have to use this sentence in my article. That feeling will be there. It is the same problem because you are at the superficial level. Once you go one level down, two level down, three level down, you will not have all these problems. Everything is crystal clear to you, which is what, how to solve, what is solution to what, all these things, small petty doubts will be clear. Make a list of useful keywords, search the information on the net, have a clear understanding about everything in your area. Especially exhaustive reading in the early days is important, because you need to defend your thesis after you complete your research. At that time, you need to know everything in that area, what is happening. Otherwise, you cannot defend. If somebody asks questions, you will be answerless. No, purpose of asking question is not to make you give answer, but at least to check whether you are aware of that or not. In your area, if some research is happening, you should be aware of that. You also have to be flexible. Flexible in the sense, if you choose certain area and if you decide the objectives, and later somebody tells in the early phase itself and says that these objectives are not useful because they are not relevant to social structure, society, then you must be generous enough or flexible enough to leave that objective and take one more objective. In the beginning, especially, I'm talking about. And whenever you create or you write objectives for your research, objective is fine, but what do you want to find out from this objective? So try to convert this objective into a question. If each objective is converted as a question, then it will be easy for you to answer that what you want to get out of it. This is a question, try to find an answer for this. That way. And initially, you need to have exhaustive reading. You need to spend around 10% of your total research time on computers. Remaining 90% should be on table. Means reading, basically reading. You need to read more, then only you will understand what is this topic. And after reading lot many things, after understanding every drawback, after studying the problem very carefully, issues very carefully, identifying objects, making question out of this objective, then formulate thesis statement. You need to formulate what is the statement for your research thesis. So once you do this thesis statement, you will be able to concentrate upon what exactly is to be addressed. So that is your next concentration. So making thesis statement is very important, because thesis is a limited time product of your research. Once you go to the level 3 depth, as I said, you see several problems. You will find fine relation, fine connection between all these problems. You feel that I need to solve all these problems. You need to find that I have not got sufficient time. So all these feelings, if you have, then you are at the right depth. But that is not a reality also. You need to get a degree, isn't it? So thesis statement has to be properly made based on the problem you have chosen, the issues you have chosen, the solutions you have chosen. It should not be too long to explain everything you have done in detail. It should not be too short or too small, like title of the chapter in the textbook. Very clearly you have to articulate it. Then during research, there are different ways of doing it. Descriptive study. Something is described. You will be reading those descriptions. You will be continuing your research. Next, you have explanatory study. This approach attempts to find the answer to an enigmatic question. For example, why has an urban area acquired its particular shape? Or why has a city council refrained from allowing mobile home parks in the community? Means there's a question, somebody has explained it. Description, whole process is described. Explanatory, some question, explanation is given about it. This is because this is like this. Historical study. I know some historical evidence which talk about the same topic. They had solved this in this way and they had faced all these problems. So I want to solve it in this way. Probably I may not face those problems. It may be improved solution, something like that. Any one of them you can use. Remedial study. I have a problem. If you do this way, it is a remedy to that problem. It is a solution to that problem. So solve it this way. Methodological study. I mean, this is an approach. It's like classical maths. It's an approach. You follow this. Whatever you get, that will be an output. So these are all different approaches to research. Then outcome of research. Once you do very serious and systematic research for the period of 5-6 years, then consulting, all these things are the serious outcomes of research. At least 60-70% of this should happen in a normal research. Means out of the 7-8 outcomes, at least some 5 should be fulfilled. A problem statement is a concise description of an issue to be addressed or a condition to be improved upon. There are 2 kinds of researches. One is path breaking research, another is incremental research. Path breaking research, problem is altogether new. You have to find a solution to that. No previous answers or something. somebody had found some solutions to existing problems, you need to improve those solutions. Incremental solution, path breaking solution. You might have heard recently TSP problem has got improved solution. Traveling salesperson's problem, which was treated as NPE hard, has got a little improved solution. This is okay. Just see these slides. Two important decisions you need to make as a researcher once you start your research journey: what you want to find out about, or what research questions you want to find answers to. How to go about finding their answers? You should know two things: what and how. But normally these things are addressed in our academic setup by different people. What will be addressed by BTech people. We give them assignments, they solve assignments, and they submit assignments. Maybe in labs or maybe in mini project, whatever it is. How? Addressed by MTech people. For MTech people, instead of asking only what, we also ask them, how do you want to do it? Design a new algorithm for this. Design a new setup for this. How? They have to answer. Otherwise, they will not get MTech degree. What PhD person should answer? What doctoral research scholar should answer? Any answers? Why part of a question? Everything that a research scholar does, he or she should able to explain why did he or she has done it. I use neural network to classify images. Why did you use neural network? I use convolution neural network to classify images. Why did you use neural convolution CNNs? Why did you not use RNNs? These are the normal questions which are asked in PhD defense or PhD examination. PhD person should know why to everything that he has done. Whereas MTechs, just how is sufficient. BTechs, just what is sufficient. Same research methodology. Process will go like this: formulating research problem, literature survey, objectives, identifying objectives, research designs, what should I do, using what, when should I finish, all these things. Collect relevant data for your work. Understand, try to understand this data, analysis of data. And it's a data processing also. And as an output, you get certain results, and try to do generalization and proper interpretation of these results, and present your work at some journals or conferences. So purpose of doing literature review, it should bring clarity and focus on your research problem. You should read to that an extent that after you complete the literature review and problem definition, you should have very clear path on from where to start and where to reach and how should we do it. There should not be any question in implementation and understanding of the problem. Then we can say that your literature survey is good. And it is done to improve your methodology. I am doing something. If I keep reading literature, then I will know what are the problems I'm facing and what are the drawbacks I have, and I can improve upon it. Broaden your knowledge. You can improve your knowledge. Contextualize your findings. This is very important. If I find certain results, always these results are valid in some context. That contextualization is very important in research result interpretation. So that you can improve. That skill of contextualization you can improve if you read more research articles. All these points are explained in clearly. You don't have to worry about that. And normally the good resources for literature reading are books and journal papers. Fine. So here, what it says, somebody says research is impossible. Because somebody has already done it. If your literature survey is not complete, these kind of problems can happen always. Because just one or two articles you have read, based on those articles you started working. Once you completely do something and about to communicate results, you'll come to know that somebody has addressed this problem. It's because you were not aware of the complete literature. This always happens in case of beginners. So you have to be very clear. We are not doing PhD to reinvent wheel, because wheel is already invented. This I have already spoken, how to create objectives. Always your objectives should start with the words such as to determine, to find out, to ascertain. But still again, in many theses I have seen, objectives they write paragraphs together. Big paragraph they write. And it starts like, in this problem, what I have chosen is something like that. So it should be very crisp and precise. It should start with these words. And based on whatever words you use, you can also decide what kind of research you are doing. Is it descriptive research, correlational research, experimental research, something like that. Objective should always be very clear. Means once you identify objective, you should not have any doubt in what you are doing in this research. Clear objectives. Complete objectives means there should not be any doubt in what is to be done, how is it to be done, whether I should do this or this. This kind of doubt should not be there. It should be very specific. Means for this problem, this solution. Now identify main variables to be correlated. Nowadays, whatever solutions we give to problems, they are all mathematical solutions. Means real world scenario is to be represented in a mathematical scenario. You need to identify properly the variables. Those are related. Means if this increases, that decreases. If both of them increase, then the third one will decrease. These kind of relations you should know properly. Identify proper relationships amongst all these things. So once you define a variable, that variable should have properties of all variables. Means you should be able to take different values, different time. 1 minute, just. Hmm. 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 ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಮುಗಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನೋಡುವ ಬಿಚ್ ನೋಡು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಏನಾಗೈತಿ, ನೀ ನೋಡಿ ಹೇಳು ಅಂದೆ. So these objectives, and once you go for these variables, you should have very clear idea about whether it can be a variable or not. Like height of a person can be a variable. Those kind of decisions are to be properly taken. We are going into very much depth. I think we need not. One more thing we need to talk about is hypothesis. Hypothesis is what is an assumption about a data we have. That is an hypothesis. Designing an hypothesis for a research is most important before you start working. Say I have height and weight database of small primary school children from first standard to second standard. If I make a hypothesis, the height below 2.5 feet and weight below 10 kgs are sufficient to classify students into first standard. This is hypothesis. This can be true or it can be false. If it is true, you have to prove it through data. If it is false, again, you have to prove it through data using some statistical techniques. So hypothesis is an assumption about a data, about the problem you have chosen. It is an intuition towards solution of a problem. And later through your experiments, you have to prove whether this intuition, whatever intuition you have, is right or wrong. So the formulation of hypothesis provides a study with focus, means you can be more focused on the studies. It tells you what specific aspects of a research problem to investigate, means general hypothesis or general understanding of the data. If you have understanding the context, if you have, then you will come to know what kind of a research problem you are supposed to investigate. Hypothesis tells us what data to collect and what not to collect. If my hypothesis is like that, the height less than 2.5 and weight less than 10 kgs, then if I want to prove this hypothesis right, every data I collect should follow this assumption. So that's what it helps us to decide what data to be collected and what data not to be collected. And always once you collect data, there will be some outliers. Those will be there. Outliers are not specifically adding to any generalized opinion about that data group. So you can keep them out for experiments. So on each these topics, again, I have detailed things. So data can be collected just by observation. You can keep camera keeps recording everything. That can be used as data observation. Survey method, you can ask people different questions, they will answer those questions. That data can be used for your research. Contact methods, you can contact people by mail, telephone, or something like that. You can conduct interview also and collect the data. Experimental method, do certain experiments in the lab, wherever it is, on whatever kind of experiments. That's called as empirical data, empirical research. Empirical means practical. So all this data can be collected. Data can also be collected from government publications. There is one organization, Publication Division of India. Publication Division of India prints certain journals like Yojana, Kurukshetra. These are the journals published by Publication Division of India. Even Employment News, the paper, weekly Employment News is published by Publication Division of India. So from there you can get data. That's called as government publications. Public records, if you go to some place, you get records. Say for example, if I go to mall will have, let us assume, an entry register, or in your lab itself there will be entry register. So everyone who enters the lab will enter his details, her details in that. So that can be used as a data to decide how many people are visiting this lab every day. Historical and statistical documents will be there. Business documents will be there. Technical journals will be there. Data released for competitions, what I said, in international competitions, they release some data normally on platforms like Kaggle, Keras. You might be knowing those things. GitHub, you can get data from there. Those are all very valid source of data. So once you take a data, then data sampling is to be done. So all, if you collect all 100 data, we will not use 100 data for our experiments. We take only representative 10 or 20 from that. So that's called as sampling. And then you need to process the data and visualize the data. Visualizing is very important. Visualizing means you should be able to have a visual perception of the data, how this data looks like. Means if you are supposed to classify horses and elephants on the two parameters of height and weight, two parameters, then you can use Cartesian plane for plotting these points. Along x-axis you can take height, along y-axis you can take weight. Wherever all the data related to elephant came, you plot them. Wherever all the data which are relevant to horses, you plot them. All the data related to horses will make one group, all the data which are related to elephants will make another group. This is called as visualization. Just if you plot them, you can say that these are all the data related to horses, they're all the data related to elephants. This is done for processing, visualization, analyzing, something like that. And once you go for data analysis, you have a quantitative data analysis and you have qualitative data analysis. Quantity means in terms of numbers. Computers are very efficient in doing all those things. Qualitative means in terms of some other parameters like taste of a food. Taste of a food. If I ask how is the food, your computer cannot tell. But human beings can tell. Food was very tasty. Food was marvelous. Fine. If I ask how is the weather, whether is cloudy, whether is breeze, whether is cool, whether is hot, many answers. These are all called as qualitative analysis of a data. So once I analyze the data, qualitative outcome comes, quantitative outcome comes. Computers mostly perform quantitative analysis, which is very small portion of complete analysis. 90 or more than 90% of the analysis is qualitative analysis, especially in day-to-day activities of humans' life. Human beings are very efficient in analyzing the things qualitatively, but computers are very perfect in analyzing the data quantitatively. Then you have to arrange your data properly so that the experiments can be conducted on that. Then you write a code, validate your data, whether data is correct or not using experts. I have collected data, but people should be able to tell whether this data collected is correct or not. Finally, once you do it using computers, it's quantitative data analysis. Okay. This question is asked, how has COVID-19 impacted your business overall? Different people give different answers. Some say it has completely stopped, around 22%. Major slowdown, around 28%. Some downturn, 21%. No impact at all, 8%. So this is a kind of data visualization, data analysis. So this will help us to take certain decisions. Whenever we have certain data, we need to generalize that data. If more than 50% of the data claims particular notion, then that notion can be taken as generalized notion. Those things we need to see. But after completion of any research, it is better if we have generalized understandings, not very specific. If I do research 3 years on some students, let us assume the students are from NITK, and finally I give certain research outcomes saying that NITK students this, NITK students this, NITK students this, and the outcome of this result is not much relevant, because the domain area is very small, only NITK. But the same thing, if I say majority of the engineering students in India like practicals over theory, this is called as generalized outcome. Instead of third year students in NITK like more practicals than theory. So outcome of your research should be more generalized one, which will be more useful. Same thing, that way itself it has to be interpreted. Interpretation is important because same data, same program, same outcome. How do you interpret the result? This example I hope I had given last time also. In America, market basket study was being conducted, and they were seeing the bills what people have purchased. But to their astonishment, majority of the people who had purchased napkins for children, napkins means pads, sanitary pads for children below age 2, also had purchased beer. Astonishing result. What is its interpretation? Some organizer should tell answer for this. If I had told the same example last time, it would be easy. Otherwise, you give some answer, some random answer, whatever you feel like. In American, say Walmart, people want to do market basket analysis. They were doing association rule mining. They came to know that in many bills what people have purchased from their super malls, if they had purchased children pads, sanitary pads, they also had purchased beer. What is its interpretation? What is its interpretation? First, anyone from organizers? You can tell whatever you feel like. Don't worry whether it is right, wrong. Very casual question it is. Fast, time is running out. Am I audible or not?
Audible, sir.
At least say yes or no. I'm asking you to say something, but you're not saying. Did you hear what I heard? What I told?
Yes, sir.
Then tell me, what is the interpretation of that data? Hmm. This question I'll leave for your interpretation. Everyone can think on this and interpret this. Now we shall stop. Again, we could not go into ethics, but some ethical parts I have covered while covering this. I thank Venkateshwara College faculty members, principal, management, HOD Mechatronics, Vijayashree Madam, and other staff for giving me an opportunity to share some of my understandings related to research. If there are any questions, you can please ask one or two quick questions. Please. Are there any questions?
No, sir, there are no questions at all. No.
No questions. Shall we stop them?
Sir, thank you for your words on research.
Thank you.
On behalf of the organizing committee and on one behalf, we really thank you for accepting our invitation and deliver your experience enriched view of research, sir.
Okay, okay, fine, great. Bye, Suresh sir.
Bye. Okay, bye, sir.